Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Invictus Racing League YouTube channel. It is the turn tonight of the F4 League to take centre stage for round 7 around the circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Canada as we return after our short mid-season break. My name is Jake, and as always I hope you're all having a fantastic evening. And if you have not already, be sure to follow Invictus Racing League on our socials. That is Invictus Racing League on Facebook, at Invictus RL on Twitter, and at Invictus Racing League on Instagram. And also, if you do want to sign up to the leagues, go to invictusracingleague.com. all the details are there. Now, it has been 2 weeks since the last race. Let's have a quick recap on what happened at the Monaco Grand Prix for round 6, that was, as Malc became the first driver in F4 to win 2 races this season as he took the victory around the narrow streets. Brennan's took his first podium of the season in 2nd place, while Nitrogash made it a double Red Bull podium in 3rd. The rest of the points were completed by Maggot, Tinus, Ginger Tiger, Patsman, Tinman, Cryptox and Richard. And Tinman also took the fastest lap point, which aids him a little bit in his championship fight. Now, speaking of the championship, as we enter the second half of the season here tonight, Malc currently holds an 8-point lead over closest challenger Maggot, with Tinman in 3rd, but now 20 points behind Malc, with Nitrogash and Cryptox completing the top 5 close behind. Meanwhile, in the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull have stretched their lead now up to a massive 27 points over nearest challengers McLaren and Alfa Romeo, who are tied in 2nd, and Mercedes and Red Racing Point are battling over a quite distant 4th. Now, quickly coming on to our venue tonight, of course, we are racing at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. This track was opened in 1978 and has been home of a Canadian Grand Prix ever since, and has only been missing from the real-life calendar on 2 occasions. This 2.7 mile circuit features 14 corners with 6 to the left and 8 to the right, with 3 DRS zones to help promote lots of overtaking, and a lap record of 1:13.078 from Valtteri Bottas set during last year's IRL race, as in real-life race. Fast chicanes, heavy braking zones and close walls are the tough challenges that set Montreal apart from most other circuits, and that's what awaits these drivers over the next 35 laps. Now, of course, we've seen a lot of social media debate recently about the advantages of qualifying outside the top 10 on this game. However, this is probably one of the few tracks where you don't actually gain that much of an advantage from doing so. Basically, the way that it works around here, of course, is just the fact that it's so close to field usually, and what you get usually is a DRS train effect, making it very hard for you to make the way through the field if you do qualify outside the top 10, even if you are quicker than the cars ahead of you. Without that advantage of DRS, it can be difficult to make an overtake stick. Let's quickly go onto a track and follow a car round. And yeah, it should be a fantastic race here tonight. Canada always throws up plenty of surprises. Who could, of course, forget that incredible race in 2011? And a race that took, well, nigh on 4 or 5 hours. And saw Jenson Button incredibly take the win from Sebastian Vettel on the final lap of the race, despite the fact that Button himself had one hectic race where it looked like at one point he was not even going to finish, let alone win the race. And of course, the big test for these drivers here tonight is going to be the track limits. Of course, Codemasters are very, very, I'll say harsh with them, but they're very stringent on what you can use on the track and what you can't use. And due to the fact that, of course, this circuit features many fast chicanes and close curbs, it's just so easy just to put literally a couple of wheels extra too far over the curve and pick up warnings. So penalties will be an absolute certainty this race, as we see Cryptox invalidate his lap time. Patsman's already invalidated his lap. We've got Tinman actually just about to come up to the final corner. He hasn't invalidated his lap time, so Tinman's going to put the first lap time on the board in this qualifying session, and it's a 1:10 flat to set the benchmark at the moment. Now, of course, earlier on I touched on basically the fact that Alfa Romeo are very much in this constructors fight. Now what's actually worth mentioning here, we've got Living Wall here, and if you haven't seen this name before, there's a very good reason for it. He's brand new to the league for this race. He replaces Synchronously, who unfortunately had to leave this league behind to focus on his university studies. Living Wall unfortunately has already invalidated his first lap, but he joins the Alfa Romeo team, and they're in a pretty strong position at the moment in the Constructors' Championship, so if he can get up to speed quickly, it could really help Alfa Romeo in their fight against both McLaren and even Red Bull too, who do look in a pretty dominant place at the moment. But we know it's F1, there's still 6 races to go, and we've got some very challenging tracks to come, including Azerbaijan for round 10, and we've even got the season finale at the Hanoi Street Circuit, which is going to be quite the challenge for all these drivers. Some may never have driven on it before, so it will be an absolute test for them to see how they get on there. Ginger Tiger has beaten his Racing Point teammate to provisional pole position, first man into the 109s, so a solid effort there indeed from him. Let's see if we've got who's on a lap at the moment. Got Nitrogash coming up to the hairpin. A lot of drivers doing their opening lap times on mediums, so some variance in strategies at the moment. Tinnis has done the quickest lap time on the mediums in 3rd place. Just follow Nitrogash around the final chicane. So easy to invalidate your lap here, but that was very nicely done from Nitrogash. Is he about to take the quickest medium tyre lap away? Yes, he is. He goes up to 3rd, and 1:10.1's a very nice lap indeed. Quickly coming back onto Tinnis though, it's worth pointing out it has been an up and down season for him, but it is the first season that he's not using assists, as he revealed in a press conference prior to the race. He's had a lot of pace, he admits, but also a lot of spins to go along with it, obviously adjusting to the lack of assists, and that has cost him potentially some much stronger results than he perhaps could have had. But his last race at Monaco was very, very impressive based on that. He got 5th place, didn't really make many mistakes, and it was ultimately, without a doubt, his best performance yet. In fact, he could have potentially got even higher, if it wasn't for a few small little incidents here and there. He was potentially in line for a race win at one point, so that just shows how quick he was. And, you know, credit to him, you know, he wants to challenge himself, wants to run without assist for the first time, and hopefully the more races he gets under his belt, the more dangerous he's going to become. And I certainly believe that, but given time, he could be a potentially very big threat. Maybe not this season, but in seasons to come. We've got a championship leader then, Malc, coming up to the end of the 2nd sector. He really is the man to beat as he goes a little bit deep into the hairpin. Got a win at Monaco last time out. He's the only driver, like I said, to have won 2 races this season. He broke the streak of having different winners at every race last time out at Monaco, but how will the 2-week gap have affected him? We'll see. You know, having that week off racing, if you're in good form, it can sort of break you out of your stride, and it actually, I think, helps out those that are perhaps not having as good of a season. It really helps them almost reset, if you like, and refocus. So it could potentially, certainly from a mental aspect anyway, it could play out very differently for certain drivers having this week off just to reflect on the season so far. And that was really the main thing from the press conference that I got. C. Wilson, who we were looking at here, he was actually mentioning that it was his first ever competitive league racing that he's done in his life. So from that aspect, he doesn't believe his season's going too bad. You know, looking forward to the rest of the season. He wants to aim for a top 5 finish, and he's shown good pace, and he's scored in the lower end of the points a few times this season. So he's been competitive, and if he can just, I think certainly when you've not done league racing before, it's quite a challenge. So for him, for me anyway, I think the more he gets under his belt in terms of experience, the more dangerous he'll become. So there's no reason why he can't get a top 5 finish by the end of the season. And looking to some of the tracks ahead, he's looking forward to tonight's track. He says Spa and Hungary he's also happy with. So the next 3 circuits for him could be his best opportunities to do so, and it'd be good to see, as Tinus, in fact, has just popped it onto provisional pole position on a 1:9.5, as Patsman, I think, has just started his hot lap. So yeah, Tinus now up to pole position, just mentioned him before, and he's definitely showing a lot of good pace. If he can just convert that throughout a full race distance, there's no reason he can't get a win in the rest of his season. Richard has gone up to third. We've got Brennon's up to fourth, so Mercedes and Racing Point, two of the teams battling for fourth in the constructors, showing well in these early stages. And Brennon's doing his lap time, it has to be said, on medium tyres, so that's very, very impressive. We're on board with Patsman now. He's had a bit of an inconsistent season in the Haas, but overall he's relatively satisfied with how it's gone. But he'll be looking to push on in the second half of the championship. He's currently way up on his previous lap time, which was a 1:11.4. He now does a 1:10.3 to move up to 8th place. We've got Maggot now, as Livingwall on his Invictus debut goes up to third for Alfa Romeo. So that's a lap time straight off the bat there for the newcomer, and a sign that he is definitely one to watch out for as this season develops. That's good to see from him. But Tin Man has now gone back onto pole. The man currently third in the championship has done a 1:09.3. And, you know, while we focus on Malc and Maggot battling for a title, Tin Man's just been quietly going about his business, and there's no reason at all to count him out of it. Maggot's about to do his first representative time, and it's a 1:09.0 to pop it onto pole by 2.5 tenths of a second. So Maggot now leading the way, and it's now up to Malc. He's seen what his championship rivals can do at the top of the championship, but he's now out on mediums and he's invalidated his lap. So Malc having a few issues in qualifying. Malc's about to do his opening lap time. It's a 1:09.7. That's an excellent lap, actually. I have to say that's an excellent lap on the medium compound tyre. Just 7 tenths of a second off pole and up to 5th. So that's a really promising lap from Mike. If he does go out on softs before the end of the session, he could be one to look out for. The pole as Ginger Tiger makes it a Racing Point 2-3 as he moves up into third. I believe that's some support for Tin Man in the chat. Or it could be Tinus, I'm not too sure. They might need to just clarify that for me. I think it's Tin Man. And let's have a look then who we got who might be about to improve. Critox. No, he's currently, I think he's just completed a lap. I don't think he's pushing anymore. Malc is invalidated again, so Malc's really having some struggles in this qualifying session. Let's see what Mileham can do. Of course, it may seem a distant memory now, but Mileham won the season opener and looked incredibly strong, I have to say, at that race. But since France, it just hasn't worked out for him. He's only actually collected 4 points in the 3 races he's taken part in since that race. So Mileham really needs to rediscover that early season form. He showed some very good pace that weekend, but he hasn't really backed it up since then. And he's about to come into the pits. We've got Nitrogash now, who's moved up into 5th place. And now Brennon's onto pole. I said he did a good lap time on the mediums. He's now gone onto the softs. And Brennon's finds himself now on provisional pole position on a 1:09 flat. Marginally quicker than Maggot. We've got Tinus, who's up on his first sector time. He's got a Ferrari just ahead of him. Hopefully that won't put him off too much. That's the Osteven, who is on a lap himself, I believe. We've got Trev, who is now up into 6th place in the other Ferrari. Not scored points in his 2 IRL appearances up to date, but good showing there in qualifying. Suggests he could put that stat to bed tonight. What's Tinus got around the final corner? He's invalidated. That was looking like such a good lap. And obviously he backs off at the end of a lap, so we'll never know what it could have been if it wasn't for that. Ah, Tin Man, okay. Well, he's currently doing a good job up in third, of course, where he is in the championship. And I certainly, from what I've seen so far, Tin Man, it doesn't seem to be his outright pace that's his strongest attribute. It's what he does in the races, I think, that tends to really help him out. So I think starting anywhere near the front for him is a definite positive. Got a lot of drivers in the pits at the moment, and I don't believe anyone's on a flying lap. Stevens invalidated. What's the other Ferrari of Trev up to? Is he on another lap? No, he pits. So we've got a lot of drivers out there, possibly just gearing up for their final flying lap. So we've already got a few drivers out there warming up their tyres ahead of their final runs. We've got Cryptox, Mileham, Maggot, Tin Man and Nitrogash going out quite early, I have to say, for their final runs. Obviously making sure they just don't miss, make sure they just get a lap in rather than maybe miss the best of the conditions. Of course, they may have put enough fuel in to do 2 flying laps, so that's another option they have available to them. And so far we've got Sab, who's retired in 16th. He will not be doing a qualifying lap tonight. And then we've got Malc and Spud, who have yet to do a lap time, still have the opportunity to come back out again. And we're going to follow Cryptox round as he starts his latest lap. Currently down in 13th. For someone who's having a really solid season in the championship, Cryptox, you would expect him to be a little higher up than that. So he'll be looking to try and find some more time, and it's just so close. You go down from 5th down to 11th. There's about a quarter of a second in it. Oh, Cryptox is invalidated, so he will need to back out if he's got enough fuel and go again. We got Mileham just ahead of him. What's Maggot up to? I'm just going to see what. Yeah, so we've got Maggot first, then Mileham. So I'm going to follow Maggot round. He's going quicker on his lap, so if he can keep this up, he could be about to take pole position away from Brennan's and be first man into the 1:08. Malc is out on track, so he's going to go for a final effort. So very nice. Looks like a very good final chicane from Maggot. This surely is going to be enough to put Maggot back onto pole position. Yes, it is a 1:08.8. That's great effort from Maggot, and that's going to take some beating if anyone's going to take pole position off him tonight. Tin Man's not on a particularly fast lap, neither is his teammate. What's Nitrogash up to? He is going quicker, Nitrogash, so can he pop his Red Bull on the first couple of rows? It's all about this final chicane, and he's invalidated it. But it looks like he's still going for it, so that would suggest, and that would have been good enough for third, that would suggest he's got enough fuel in him for another lap. Oh, and he's gonna go. Oh no, that's all gone wrong. I don't believe I know which one. I think that was Mike, who was on his outlap, and it all just got went a bit wrong there. Living Wall, great effort from Living Wall. He goes up into third place. That's a stunning lap. 1:09.1 for the debutant, and that's definitely someone to watch out for. But I tell you who I'm going to follow here. It's going to be Malc, who is on an absolutely crucial lap here. He cannot afford to start from 17th. So not only is he going to make sure this lap is quick, he's also going to make sure it's legal as well, because he absolutely cannot afford for this lap to be invalidated. He won't make the checker flag in time to do another lap. So this is all or nothing here for the championship leader. He's been in this situation before in qualifying, and he's managed to find something. What does he do here? Maggot will be desperately hoping that something goes wrong, because right now he's got provisional pole and things are looking very good indeed for him. He won't be improving. Neither will Tin Man and neither will Nitrogash. The Nitrogash's session is over. What can his teammate do up to the final chicane? This is absolutely crucial if he doesn't mess this up. And he hasn't done. So Malc heads for the line. What's this going to be good enough for? It's good enough for the front row. A 1:08.9. That's a fantastic effort. Looking to see now who's on a lap. I don't think there's many drivers out there. No, a lot of drivers have backed off here. Steven Doesn't improve. Spud's invalidated his lap. What's Brennan's up to? He's got traffic in front of him. Cryptox improved to 8, but he's done, I think, a lot of the drivers, you know. I think that could be it, you know. Is Mike doing anything? He's on the soft tyres. No, he's coming in the pits. So it looks like, unless I've missed anyone, it looks like that's our qualifying session over. It is indeed. So Maggot takes a fantastic pole position then on a 108.8. Malc, right at the death, produces his only lap of a session to knock it onto the front row. We've got Brennan's in third, continuing on from his good form at Monaco. Livingwall on his F4 IRL debut takes fourth. Great effort from him. Tinman is fifth. In all racing point, third row with Ginger Tiger alongside him. Richard in seventh. Cryptox in eighth. Tinnis in ninth. And Trev completes the top 10. Nitrogash will start 11th and will have the first say on what tyres they start on. You got Mike in 12th. Patsman in 13th. Mileham 14th. Osteven 15th. C. Wilson 16th. And Sab and Spud did not do a representative time and will start on the back row. Super close lap times in qualifying there. Absolutely fair to say that it's going to be quite an exciting race, and I'm very interested to see what Livingwall does on his debut, and also Maggot and Malc, the two main championship protagonists, battling it out on the front row. That's good. That's got a recipe for absolute excitement here tonight. Despite everyone going out for, well, a lot of drivers going out for sighters on mediums, they ultimately did all set their best lap times on the soft tyre. But I wouldn't be shocked to see a lot of the drivers outside the top 10 plump for the medium tyre strategy at the start. A two-stop strategy is quite likely around here. The pit lane isn't very long, and due to the way the tyres last, I would expect most drivers to do a two-stop. One stop is possible, but with the likelihood of a safety car and as I said, the fact that you don't lose too much time in the pits, I would suspect most drivers will go for the two-stop strategy this evening. Few surprises in qualifying. I think it's fair to say Mileham again not perhaps delivering the sort of form we were expecting after his win in France. Got Mike actually, who did say his lap time on medium, so based on that, Mike could be one to watch out for. He's just like, he might have good pace. Nitrogash, I'm a little bit surprised to see outside the top 10, but it's incredibly close. I mean, if he'd have just found a couple more temps, he would have been up in like 5th or 6th. That's just how close it is. And there you go, right down to the back of the grid. Very, very close grid indeed. Some support for Malc in the stream. It has to be said, he cut it very fine in qualifying. Just one corner where he took a bit too much curb on that final lap, and he could have been starting way down near the back. But he pulled it right out the bag when it counted. And will line up alongside Maggot for what is sure to be a fantastic Canadian Grand Prix ahead of us. You never know with Canada as well, but it looks like we've got very dry, sunny conditions here this evening for this race, and you know will be down basically to strategy, timing of the safety cars, and ultimately the raw pace of the drivers as well. So we've had 5 different winners so far in the 6 races. Malc, two-time winner. We've also had wins for Maggot, for Nitrogash, for Cryptox, and also for Mileham. Will we see another first-time winner this evening? We shall see. Drivers just waiting to get the green light from Osteven, and then we'll be able to get this race underway and see what strategies those outside the top 10 have plumped for. I would be surprised to see many drivers on hards, but I think it's certainly something that Spud might consider, Sab as well. Spud, I think, has openly admitted he doesn't believe he has the raw pace on this game, so going for a different strategy he may feel is his best hope. It would be a real shame for Spud to not score any points this season, but unless he can find a little bit more performance. Well, actually, he has got 2 points, actually, my bad. He scored 2 points at Austria. But yeah, even so, for someone of Spud's experience and skill, it's a shame to see him only with 2 points after 6 races. He's a much better driver than that. But sometimes the game doesn't suit your strengths, and it can be difficult to get up to speed. And although this isn't a dramatic makeover in terms of the handling performance from last year, there are definitely subtle differences which seem to be causing Spud some problems. So we're not far away now until lights out. Here at Canada, the talking stops, the racing will begin. And as we head into the second half of this Invictus season, it's really now going to become the precious situations for those at the top of the championship. How will they handle those situations? Just to quickly preview where the 5 main championship contenders are on the grid. We've also got Maggot and Malc on the front row. Malc leading the championship ahead of Maggot. And we've also got Tin Man in 5th. We've got Cryptox in 8th, and Nitrogash is the lowest of the championship contenders in 11th. Let's have a look then to see what tyres those outside the top 10 have gone for. We've got a real mix of strategies, I think it's fair to say. Outside the top 10, Nitrogash, Mike and Patsman have all opted for the medium tyres, as has Ostivan and Spud. I thought Spud might go for the hards. In fact, the only driver that has gone for the hard tyres is C. Wilson, while Malham and Sab have decided to start on softs, which is a little bit surprising, but we'll see how it works out for them. All it takes is a really good start, and they could be right in with the other soft tyre runners, especially for Malham, so we'll see how that works out for them. As you can see there, the predicted pit stop strategy is a 2-stop. The hard tyre you shouldn't really expect to see used that much around here. It just ultimately isn't a great race tyre. So the softs and mediums I think will be the most popular tyres today, and we'll see what C. Wilson can do on those hards, but I suspect he may find it tough going. Drivers come up to the end of this lap, very short lap of course, and they're shortly going to be lining up on the grid, ready for lights out here. Maggot takes his place on the front of the grid. What will be going through his mind, of course, he nearly got the victory at Monaco last time out. He'll be desperate to get one over on Malc this race tonight. He won't want to let Malc get too much of a bigger lead in the championship. And we just got the last few cars, Sab and Spud, lining up at the back. Right, here we go then. When the 5 lights stop illuminating, let battle commence here at Montreal. It looks like a very good start from Maggot. He's got away very nicely at the front. Malc's under a bit of pressure from Richard behind him. Oh, sorry, Brennon's rather. And Malc slots into second. Brennon slots into third. And then we've got fighting further down, jostling. It looks like all the cars are ghosting on my screen. I hope that's not the case for them as well. We've got some massive... Oh, we've got some side-by-side action. It looks like we've got a car in the wall there. Potentially that was now for Tauri further down the field. But meanwhile, back at the front, it looks like we've got Maggot leading the way. The top 5 is as you were. We've got a virtual safety car, and I believe that's for Mileham. Let's just see if we can spot. Yeah, he's gone round. Has he got any picked up any damage? Yeah, he's got quite a lot of damage on one side of that front wing, so the decision to start on soft tyres not working out too well for him now. And in terms of who was gained on the opening lap, Cryptox has had a decent start. So Nitrogash has had a really nice start, up from 11th to 8th, and he's already potentially looking at getting past the Alfa Romeo. Wants some virtual safety car ends, which he does now. And Maggot, I have to say, is absolutely driven away. We've got a Ferrari in the pits, so Ferrari with damage. That is Trev, unfortunately. And look here, Livingwall is right behind Brennan's. He wants to get stuck right into this race on his debut. Doesn't want any sort of interim period. He just wants to get straight stuck in. We've got Tinnis also in the pit, so he must have collected some damage as well. Tinnis going onto the hard tyres, Trev and Malham onto mediums, and we'll see how their race develops from there. They could have done with a full safety car rather than a virtual one. But in terms of a start, this couldn't have been any better really for Maggot. He's got the lead, he's pulled well away. He got such a nice launch off the line, and Malc just didn't have any answer. If anything, he had to fend off the Mercedes behind him. And it's going to be interesting to see now what happens as Nitrogash, further down the field, has just passed Cryptox, so into the hairpin. Nitrogash grabs 7th, and I have to say, despite a very questionable... Oh, and we got Tinnis out of the race, and we got another virtual safety car. So Tinnis has obviously gone off somewhere into the wall, and it completes, unfortunately, a disappointing race for Tinnis. Was hoping for a better second half of the season, but it hasn't started well, and we've got Cryptox in the pits, so he's got damage Cryptox, so that would explain why Nitrogash, unfortunately, why Nitrogash got past him. Cryptox was struggling with damage. Hopefully that wasn't caught up due to a collision between the pair of them. Oh, Livingwall's got a penalty for a collision with Bredon's under the virtual safety car, so that might cost Livingwall quite significantly. I hope as well he might have damage too. Hopefully he hasn't. Let's have a look here, because it could be a disastrous few laps for the Alfa Romeo, as if they've both got damage. Looks like he may have got away with it. But 2 virtual safety cars in the space of 2 laps, and for Cryptox it's not a good thing, as Malc already collects his first penalty of the race, and that's going to be a theme you're going to see a lot of over the course of this race. Drivers are going to push the track limits, and I don't think there's any way around that around this track other than driving ridiculously slowly. So we will see a lot of penalties, and I think the race will ultimately be decided a lot by how many penalties you'll pick up over the course of a race. Nitrogash, though, I have to say, is absolutely flying, and now he's got the racing point of Ginger Tiger well within his sights. He's going to go down the inside. Oh, not quite close enough, and Ginger Tiger holds him off. Nitrogash will potentially look for the move into turn 1. Nitrogash done the fastest lap of the race. He's absolutely flying. Oh, and he goes off the track. Ginger Tiger very much forced him wider than he would have liked to have been. And yeah, he's ultimately lost ground and nearly overtaken by Richard in the process. Yeah, Ginger Tiger really squeezed Nitrogash to the inside there, meaning he had a very shallow entry point into the corner, and as a result he just ran out of track, unfortunately. So instead of gaining 1 place, he's ended up having to live for another day on that one. And this is important for Nitrogash, because he is dropping back a little bit here. The 2 Ginger Tigers have kind of lost some time to his teammate ahead of him. The top 5 sort of becoming into their own race at this stage of the encounter. And Malc is potentially under some threat from Brennan's here, so let's see what Brennan's can do. Coming up to the final chicane. He's not close enough on this occasion, but he looks like he really wants to get past that Red Bull. Maggot's still absolutely flying in the lead. He just looks so comfortable at this stage of the race. It's still a long way to go though, of course. But right now Malc's got some defending to do. And Spud further down has gone up to 13th. He's past C. Wilson. Nitrogash joins his teammate in collecting an early penalty, and Trev as well, so you're just going to see that so often through the race. And I won't check how many penalties each driver's got. I mean, I might make a mental note as we see them flash at the bottom of the screen, but obviously don't want to ruin potentially the end of this race by knowing how many penalties certain drivers have. We want to see the on-track action and not worry about all that. Oh, Malc went slightly deep into the hairpin there, and surely he's going to be an absolute sitting duck here for Brennan's on the straight. Malc has really struggled out the hairpin there, and surely the Mercedes is going to make a quite simple move up into second place. Indeed he does. Nothing Malc can do to stop that one. And if anything, he's got to worry behind him now because Livingwall's got a great exit out of the final chicane. And now here comes Livingwall up to third place potentially on his debut. And yes, he does. Very nicely down the inside. And Malc drops 2 places in the space of half a lap. And I have to say that was all kind of started when he ran deep at the hairpin. He left himself vulnerable. And he's lost those 2 places. And it has to be said, on race pace, Malc just doesn't look like he's got it in him at the moment anyway to fight for the lead. We'll see how the race develops, of course, but he does look like he's struggling right now. Has he got any damage? I'll try and find out when we next get a good viewpoint. There's definitely no damage on that side of the wing. It doesn't look like it, but either way, he's just not got the pace at the moment. But look at Livingwall. He's dealt with a Red Bull. Now he wants a piece of the Mercedes as well. So, great to see such a quick newcomer to the league. It's great to have him mixing it in with the establishment, so to speak. He's not quite close enough though to overtake Brennan's into the chicane. He'll potentially look to get a good exit and make a move into turn 1. He didn't get the best of exits though, so I think ultimately he's going to run out of straight. Malc does pit, so I think Malc did collect damage. On the opening lap there was a bit of contact there, I believe, between the Merc and the Alpha. So yeah, Malc must have collected some damage and it has cost him. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3, we've got another virtual safety car. And we've got Sab across the line without a front wing. So that's a disaster for him because he's of course going to have to do a full lap before he can pit. So that's an absolute disaster for the AlphaTauri. The only slight positive is it's probably roughly about the window in which you would pit for the softs anyway. So, and at least the virtual safety car will minimise some of that time loss, but even so, that's a disaster for Sab. I don't know quite what happened to him, but to lose his whole front wing, that definitely wasn't a minor shunt. Oh, Malc's now got a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags, so Malc's race really is going from bad to worse. He obviously had to pit to repair his front wing. He's now back out again. Although, is that front wing repaired? I'm just trying to get a good glimpse of it. It's obviously difficult at this high-speed track just to see 2 up and close with a front wing, but that doesn't look entirely fixed to me. It could just be my eyes. I mean, there is a reason I wear glasses. As Maggot pits for the lead for medium tyres, he definitely hasn't got damage, and he definitely, at the moment, has got this race going exactly the way he would like. We've also got Livingwall and Ginger Tiger also in the pits. All the drivers coming out of the pits. Got Sab, unfortunately, is retired from the race in the pit lane. He got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and he's decided he's had enough, so that's a disastrous day for the AlphaTauri outfit. They've got both drivers out the race. That's not the race that they would have wanted one bit. And actually, well, I say Malc must have repaired his damage. Maybe he just did an undercut, actually, because he's right with Maggot, and that wouldn't have made any sense. Maybe he sped too much under the virtual safety car, I don't know, but either way, it's going, we've got his front 2 right together now, and is Malc going to have a look into the hairpin? No, he is not. Can he get a good enough run onto the back straight to potentially make a move before the final chicane? Let's see, no, I don't think he's close enough. I think Maggot got a much better exit at the hairpin, so he's unfortunately going to run out of straight there. Maggot does take a bit of a shallow line in though, which could leave him vulnerable into turn 1. He was kind of half defending like fresh air there, and that's not really what you want to be doing too much. We've got more drivers in the pits. Brennan's and Timman both make their first stops of the race. It's looking very much like it's a 2-stop race for a lot of these drivers. Maybe Nitrogash will try and do a 1-stop from soft, from mediums to hards. That could be his way of trying to get back into the race following the difficult start. What could potentially help Malc out here is that Maggot is starting to close in on some drivers, and certainly in the case of Patsman and Mike, they ain't going to be pitting for a few laps yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how they cope with that. Livingwall has definitely dropped down, so I wonder if Livingwall, when he made slight contact with Brennan's, I wonder if he had to repair his damage, because he has really dropped down. He's just passing Spud now, the 10th spot. on. We've got two cars going alongside each other, and that's Tin Man and Osteven battling. Tin Man, of course, on fresh mediums, Osteven on slightly warm ones. Of course, Tin Man effectively not really racing the Ferrari at this stage of the race, but Tin Man has made it through as Richard makes his opening pit stop. So Tin Man back up into 8th place and running a solid race now. But is that Osteven with damage? Yeah, there's definitely some of that front wing missing, so Osteven's got damage too. We've got Richard in the pits, of course, as I mentioned. He's dropping down the order now. With a yellow flag very briefly in sector 1, I'm not sure what that was for. And we've got here, oh, Magus made a mistake! Magus made a mistake at the same corner where Sebastian Vettel did, of course, in 2011. And now Malc's got a great opportunity to take what is a provisional lead, but he just gets out dragged by the McLaren. Which is quite surprising, really, considering the momentum they had out the corners. And this just shows how much Patsman is affecting these race leaders. Mike has dropped down, so I wonder if it was Mike that the yellow flag came out briefly for in sector 1. Because Mike was right with his Haas teammate, but he's dropped now down behind Brennan, so clearly something happened there to the other Haas. We'll see if he pits at the end of this lap, but here comes Maggot now. And he's going to make a very simple overtake on Patsman. Nothing Patsman can do, and in fact he's probably going to lose 2 positions now because Malc's going to try and make a move. He's going to want to follow the McLaren through as quickly as he can, and he's going to go for it down the inside, and he just about does it. I have to say that was a brave one from Malc. Not something we usually see from him, but I think it just emphasised in his mind how important it is that he stays with that McLaren. And Malc quite bravely puts himself back up into 3rd place. And look at the time that Mike is losing, so that would definitely suggest that he has picked up a little bit of damage. He's now got Tin Man right behind him. And Tin Man just quietly going about his business here. He's technically, provisionally at least, in P4. And he just needs to do what he's been doing so far, and he should be alright. Spud's just coming out the pits, and he's unfortunately at the back at the moment. And Tin Man goes right round the outside of the Haas. Obviously Mike knows it's not really his battle at this stage of the race and chooses not to fight it. We've then got behind, we've got Living Wall, who should be able to comfortably get past that Ferrari, who of course does have front wing damage. So let's see here, down the back straight, Living Wall lost some time in the pit stops, I assume repairing some damage he had got, and he now moves back up into 8th place. Further up the field we've got Brennan's past Patsman now as well, so effectively your race order now is Maggot, Malc and Brennan's. Nitrogash of course running a different strategy, but of course if Nitrogash is only doing a 1-stop race, he effectively is battling with these guys, so Nitrogash is definitely not out of the equation here. I don't know if you've got some front wing damage flicking up there. Well, that was just some debris on the circuit, but it's going to be interesting now to see how the way Maggot closes down on Nitrogash, because effectively for him it's ideal that he gets past Nitrogash before Nitrogash makes his stop, because that effectively will put him back into the race lead. Of course, as I've mentioned, the hard tyres aren't particularly great around here, so Nitrogash will have a difficult stint on them, but this has definitely put him right in the mix anyway for some very good points here, making the use of that alternative strategy. He had a good start as well, and he's just quietly gone about his race, and things are going very well for him. He's only got a 1-second lead now over Maggot, so quite clearly Maggot's putting the hammer down, recognises the need to get past the other Red Bull. Of course, one thing that could be a possibility here is that Nitrogash will try and bunch Maggot up to help out his teammate, but that will be extremely difficult to do. Maggot won't be close enough into this next chicane, but if he can line it up well out the hairpin, he'll have a great chance through the back straight to retake the lead of a race. As you can brake now into the hairpin, you can see the parts of the car working there to generate the most amount of grip, and that's a very decent run out the hairpin, and surely there's nothing much really that Nitrogash can do to defend this. He goes to the inside, defends as much as he can, but he's clearly using a lot of overtake because Maggot can't quite get a move done. And they've gone! And Nashgash is round! Maggot went for it around the outside of a hairpin, and they made contact there, and that has ruined Nitrogash's afternoon. He hasn't got any damage, I don't think, but the amount of time he'll have lost effectively means that alternative strategy hasn't worked. Oh, and it was one of those, like, Nitrogash was clearly using a lot of his ERS to defend. And, you know, he wanted to maybe help out his teammate, help out his own race, of course. But it's just not worked out. And I don't know if that held up Malc at all, but he's now got Brennon's right behind him, and he's dropped to 4.5 seconds behind the race leader, so it hasn't worked out particularly well for the Red Bull either. In fact, he's just let Brennon's through, so has Malc collecting more damage? I think Malc may well have picked up some more damage here. I'm just gonna... It's difficult to see from the angles I'm being given. But look at the time he's losing. Yeah, Malc has got front wing damage. So that's really cost him. I don't know if maybe he went into his teammate when he spun. It looked like Nitrogash had ghosted, but perhaps not. Or maybe he hit the wall himself. Who knows? But Malc is surely going to have to come into the pits again, and this ruins his race. He's going to continue on with it, Malc, because he knows he's not quick, but he feels like it's better to do that than to pit at this stage. But really, that's going to put Malc in a really tough spot here. Nitrogash pits. Has he got damage? I thought he might have got away with it. No, he has going to have to change his front wings. That's a double whammy for him. Oh, and he's also gone onto mediums, so that's surprising, to be honest, because that means he's absolutely going to have to stop again. Which isn't really the strategy you'd want to do, really. I thought he'd have gone onto the hard tyres. Living Wall has gone onto the hard tyres, and he's got more damage, so his early race promise is kind of wilted away as this race has gone on. Real shame for him. Hopefully he can maybe salvage some points towards the end of this race. He's going to rejoin just in front of Spud, I believe. Oh, he's going to rejoin just behind Osteven as well. So lots of drama here tonight, lots of drivers struggling with this circuit. We've seen many brushes against the wall, we've seen maybe not as many penalties as I thought we might have, but plenty of drivers struggling to avoid the walls, avoid damage. And Trev has left the session as he ghosted out. Let's have a look. Yeah, it looks like yeah, his car's now, he's just ghosted, so I think he may have lost connection there, which is a real shame. Further up the field, we've got Patsman making a move past Cryptox. Patsman on brand new soft tyres, and he wants to make hay while the sun shines on that one. And he's up into 7th place, and he's having a pretty decent race here. He's taking advantage of some things that have gone on ahead of him. Milham's gone into the World Champions, I believe, and has got yet more damage, and that's the worst place on the circuit to hit the wall, because you've now got to do the full lap with damage before you can even think about pitting. So another driver whose race is just not panning out the way they would have liked. And it has to be said, Montreal is throwing up all kinds of surprises. We've now got a battle for 5th and 6th, and this is a crucial battle in the Constructors as well. Both Mercedes and Racing Point are having a good day today, and are battling for 4th in the Constructors, so if Ginger Tiger can hold off Richard, it would be a massive help to his team, but Richard is looking very menacing behind him. And of course they've both got to deal with the Haas of Patsman, who is gaining on him incredibly quickly, but here comes Richard now, down the inside into the final chicane, and nothing much there that Ginger Tiger could do to prevent that. In fact, he picks up a penalty through the World Champions, and I think he clipped the wall. So yet another driver with front wing damage. Yeah, you can see it there. I thought some debris came flying off his car, and Ginger Tiger is the latest person to have damage. Oh, what a disaster. Malham pits. We've got Trev in the pit, so that's his AI doing that. I don't think he'll appreciate that if he can retake control of his car. Just look how many drivers today are just struggling with this track. It's really catching a lot of them out. And I think that gives some opportunities to maybe people that you wouldn't expect to be so high up, especially C. Wilson, I believe, who started on the hard tyres. I thought he may struggle with that strategy, but it's actually coming into play for him. He can go on to faster tyres, I'd say, in about 4 or 5 laps time, and he could potentially be in some points the way this is going. He's just had Nitrogash overtake him, but that's not really an issue for him at this stage of the race. For some reason the gaps have disappeared. I'm not quite sure what that's all about. We've got Cryptox in the pits. Now, he's been on those mediums for 14 laps, so I guess this is scheduled. It is indeed. He's going to take on another set of mediums, and he will now try and get to the end of a race. So that's Cryptox's final pit stop. And where's he going to rejoin? Got some cars battering, but he's going to rejoin right in this group of cars, isn't he? He's going to come out just behind Mike, is he? No, he's going to get better traction out the pit exit, and he's going to be right alongside, and he's going to get the position. So that's worked out beautifully for Cryptox. He's into 10th place, and further behind we've got Living Wall, his teammate right behind Osteven, as he tries to make his way through the pack. Obviously seen the amount of pace he has, but he's obviously ultimately struggling to do anything about it at this stage of the race. He's had many incidents himself, and when Osteven goes well out of shape there through the chicane, that's going to present a real opportunity for the Alfa Romeo down the inside of a hairpin. He's going to go for it. He's outbroken himself. Osteven will try and fight back on the exit and does so. So Living Wall made the move into the corner but couldn't hold it on the brakes, and Osteven sneaks back underneath. Can't fault Living Wall's enthusiasm on that one. To recap what's going on at the moment, then we've got Maga out in the lead, Brennon's up into second. He overtook Malc, as we've got these two going side by side here. Living Wall, Osteven forced a little bit wide, but Living Wall gets the place and back up to P12. Yeah, so we've got Brennon's in second. As I was saying, Malc has dropped down to third and does have damage, hence why he's losing time to Brennon's in front of him, and why Tin Man is gaining on him quite quickly as well. So this is not going to plan for Malc. He's obviously decided it's better to continue with the damage and pit out of sync really for his strategy. Maggot's looking pretty well in control of this one at the moment, but I have to say Brennon's is doing a superb job in second and really continuing where he left off in Monaco 2 weeks ago. And he may have struggled at the start of the season, but he's happy. He feels confident going to the second half of the season for some more good results, and it's definitely looking like it's going to start off well for him. Patsman pits, that cannot be scheduled. That's only 5 laps on soft tyres. Is he going to go back onto mediums? No, he's got, yeah, he's repairing. Well, he's going to go onto mediums, but he's preparing his front wing damage, and I believe he also has a 5-second penalty to serve, hence why his pit crew didn't start work immediately on his car. So Patsman into the pit. C. Wilson has quietly gone about his business, so having said that, he is having his front wing changed. But he can now go to the end on those medium tyres, and it'll be interesting to see how that works out for him. Of course, Living Wall and Mike might be able to go to the end on their hards as well, so that will be one to keep an eye on. But the big sort of mover at the moment, I would have to say, is Tin Man. He is gaining on Malc, and Malc is just dropping back with that damage. It cannot be helping him one bit at the moment. Top 4 kind of in a race of their own. Richard now past Ginger Tiger and pulling clear. Nitrogash up into 7th. And let's see here, this three-way fight for 9th place. Living War's got past Mike, and Osteven is now going to try and do the same. We've got Ginger Tiger in the pits, and he's also got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so that will not help him as he makes his final stop of the race for another set of medium tyres. We are getting to that window now for the second scheduled stops, so expect to see drivers in the next couple of laps, those that are on the traditional 2-stop, aka mainly the top 5. A lot of drivers sort of out of sync with their strategy due to pit stops they've had to make for front wing damage. And we've got Ginger Tiger, who was crucially for him just rejoined in front of Living Wall. That was absolutely crucial that he rejoined ahead of his group of cars. If if he'd have got involved in this sort of group, he would have lost an awful lot of time and potentially put him under threat from Nitrogash and maybe one or two others towards the end. So that's absolutely crucial for him. We've got Malc into the pits. Will he be getting his front wing repaired? Surely he will. Yeah, he does. But he's got a penalty to serve, of course. So he has to wait. Will Tin Man leapfrog him as a result? Yeah, Tin Man does. So because of that, Tin Man is now up to third place, and Malc, as it stands, will not be on the podium. Malc's got a big stint ahead of him here. Look how much time he's lost. Just that front wing damage and serving the penalty. This has not been his race at all. It's important that he rejoins in front of Cryptox, which he is going to do. Cryptox also running to the end, so absolutely vital for him that he rejoined in front of him, and he does so. Malc has just then picked up another penalty, so really not going to championship leader's way this race, and as it stands, Maggot's going to definitely close in on that championship lead, making it very interesting ahead of us as we go to Belgium next week at the legendary circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, as Maggot, who has really controlled this race from the offset, makes his second stop of the race. He seems to be the only driver I've not seen in the pits for damage. Maybe Brennon's has had that too, but Maggot's, everything's going perfectly for him, no worries at all, and as long as he keeps it clean from here on in, he's looking good to take his second win of the season and really get his push going. He sounded, in the press conference, he did sound quite unhappy with how his season had gone, despite the fact he was running second in the championship, so he obviously felt he had one or two more gears to go through, and well, he's certainly proven that tonight so far. We've got Richard now into the pits for his final stop onto a set of mediums. Kind of gone under the radar a bit this race, but he's looking at some very decent points indeed, as he's going to rejoin out of pits just in front of Ginger Tiger, which was crucial because he did pass him during the last stint, so it's absolutely crucial that he stayed in front, and Richard looking good from there to get some good points. Nitrogash, I think, will be the only driver ahead of him who might drop behind him, so potentially 6th place he's looking at here, and he may try and close down Cryptox as well, who is running older medium tyres. I don't think Nitrogash can make it to the end from here, but maybe he'll prove me wrong. We've got Brennon's into the pits now then. He stops for a set of mediums. He should rejoin comfortably in 2nd place, and he's looking very good at the moment for his consecutive 2nd place finishes. You couldn't ask for 2 more different tracks in Monaco and Canada, but Brennon's has stepped up at both of them, and is starting to go on a little bit of a charge at this mid-season point. And he does indeed rejoin in 2nd place, 8 seconds adrift of a race leader, but should be quite comfortable in 2nd spot if he can start to pull away from Tin Man, of course. Mike's staying pretty close to the back of Living Wall, so that's a battle that could keep going to the end. With Osteven just behind them, but surely he will have to stop again. It's going to be interesting to see, certainly the low end of the points as well, how it pans out between some of these drivers, because the likes of Spud and Osteven definitely have to stop again. And those like Mike and Livingwall may see their tyres drop off towards the end of a race. I said Bredon's had it comfortably in the bag for 2nd place, but I'm not so sure anymore, because Tin Man is definitely not letting him off that easily. What's Nitrogash going to do here? Like I say, his tyres will be fine at this stage, but he will surely lose them towards the end. Expecting 21 laps, I believe, out of the medium tyres. That's going to be a big ask for the Red Bull driver. Trying to recover, of course, after that incident with Maggot, while he was leading on what I think was going to be his alternate strategy. Brennon's now starting to check out a bit more against Tin Man. He's about 3-4 tenths up in his last lap, so trying to pull that gap away. And I think the battle that we're about to see develop here is Richard, who is closing in on Cryptox. And what will Cryptox be able to do? I think on those more worn mediums, Richard may be able to get this position here. Richard's best result so far this season was a 4th place he got at China. But other than that, he's had a 5th and a 6th as well, so he's been around this position a few times. So he's ultimately a very solid driver in this tier. Just needs to maybe find that little bit of extra pace to push him up to the next level. And we've got a yellow flag in Sector 1, which is not Spud. Wait, who is that? That's Nitrogash. That's Nitrogash, who I think has gone off. Oh no, and Nitrogash's race just keeps going wrong. He's obviously gone into the wall somewhere, because I can see damage on the right hand side of that front wing. It just isn't going his way at all. Actually, has he got damage on that left right hand side? I may have misspoke on that one. He might just have had a spin. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's got damage, so yeah, he's just had a spin somewhere. And Nitrogash has lost out to Malc and to Cryptox. And he just, it kind of sums up Nitrogash's last few races, I hate to say it, but just a few too many mistakes here and there have ultimately cost him results that should have been a lot better. What's Nitrogash going to do here? I think Richard's going to get the position on him. Is he going to come into the pits? Yep, Nitrogash pits. And it just really hasn't been his race at all. And this is of course vital for the constructors as well, because Red Bull do have a pretty decent lead at the moment, but if Nitrogash doesn't score many points here, that could potentially open it up. Nitrogash goes onto soft tyres. He hasn't changed his front wing, so he didn't have damage. He just wanted to get the soft tyres on and see what he could do in the latter half of this race. A fastest lap is very possible, no doubt about that. Ginger Tiger. Now that wasn't scheduled, there's no doubt about it. That was definitely not scheduled, so Ginger Tiger has gone off somewhere, and I don't think he's had his front wing repaired, because there's still damage on that side of it, so that's bizarre. If he's coming to the pits, they haven't repaired his front wing, so either way it's not worked out at all for him. He's down to 15th, and what was looking like a very solid point scoring position for the Racing Point driver has, I think, gone down the drain a bit for him there. He'll be furious that his pit crew didn't change that wing. The only reason he would have come in, I imagine. As expected, we've got this battle now between Richard and Cryptox now over 5th place. Malc has had absolute... And Living Wall's out of the race. We've got a virtual safety car as Osteven takes advantage of that to pit. I'm going to try and quickly see. I think Living Wall's gone into the World Champions. Oh, it's coming out. It's coming out the World Champions, so he may have maybe clipped the wall at the World Champions and spat into the opposite wall, but either way, Living Wall's debut does end in retirement. That's a real shame for him. We're back underway here. Many drivers have taken the opportunity to go on softs, including Ginger Tiger, who will finally get that front wing repaired. He'll be devastated that he didn't do that the first time around. That's a shame for Living Wall. He showed some excellent pace though in his debut. Suggests we've got a lot more to see from him in the weeks to come. But the World Champions has caught out so many drivers over the years. He will not be the first or the last in that regard. Let's see what Richard can do here about Cryptox. Trev as well is currently in a point scoring position for the first time as Mike pits. Now that's not scheduled either. Those Hards would have surely made the end. So he must have damage too. So many drivers falling prey to the walls around Canada. And he will go on softs as well, but that's going to drop him very much out the points here. He'll drop to P12, I think. And just what an absolute disaster it's been for some of these drivers tonight. Some of them will have come into this with such high hopes, but this track is very unforgiving, and we've certainly found that out this evening. Maggot, meanwhile, despite everything the chaos that's been going on around him, still has a comfortable lead out front. He's just absolutely controlled the pace here. Oh, and Ostevens the next one! Ostevens just got into the wall, a massive shunt there. Just as it looked like he was about to take the final point off C. Wilson, he's the next one to make a mistake, and he too will surely have to come into the pits. And I think he just hit the wall again for good measure. Oh, we caught that one live there, and in his eagerness to try and get up, as we see here, Nitrogash has made a move on Patsman into the final chicane, so Nitrogash back up to 7th. I don't think he'll be able to make any additional progress barring drama ahead. And despite what happened to Osteven, he's got past C. Wilson, but he's then hit the wall coming out of the final chicane. He's not doing his front wing any good at all. But he maintains P10 somehow. I don't think he'll be able to catch up to his teammate though, but we'll see on that one. But he's certainly not helping his case. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. I think Spud has got some damage. He may have gone into the wall. Not the race Spud would have liked, I'm sure. Yep, here he goes to pits now, and he might retire actually. We'll see. But Richard, this is a battle I thought was going to happen for a few laps now. And we've got Richard trying to... Well, Kritot's trying to break the toe against the Mercedes, but Richard's got the overspeed, and there's nothing the Alfa Romeo can do despite his best efforts. And Richard is up into P5. And I've got to say credit here to Tim, man. He stayed within 2 seconds of Brennan, so depending on the penalty situation there, Tim, man, could still potentially get second place. He's really pushing for it. I have to say, massive credit to him here. And you cannot rule him out of the championship fight either. Looks like I was wrong as well. Despite Osteven's damage, he is all over the back of his teammate. Has Trev got damage then? I'm wondering. I think he has, you know. Yeah, Trev's got damage too. So that would explain it. Drivers everywhere just have damage. There's more drivers with damage than without at the moment. And, well, they're both teammates here. Surely it's best to let Osteven go if he's that much quicker. We don't want the Renault getting re-involved with this battle. But Trev defends it. But Osteven goes down the inside, and ultimately there's not much that the Ferrari can do. And Osteven up into 9th place. Can see Wilson follow suit. He'll be fancying a point here, as Nitrogash does indeed do the fastest lap of the race, a 1:11.0 in the Red Bull. Can anyone beat that? Otherwise Nitrogash will get the bonus point. Maggot, it's clear, is absolutely cruising it at this stage. He's as Mike comes into the pit, speeds in the pit lane. And many drivers here, I think, will be happy to see the back of Canada, because it's been an instant-packed race for many of these drivers. In fact, Mike's not even changing his front wing, so he's just decided, you know what, I'll take on another set of softs. I don't think Nitrogash will appreciate that much, if I'm honest. But now Mike thinking, why not? Let's go for fastest lap, let's have some fun. Of course, does 3 at the back and now a lap down, so in fact Maggot very soon might be coming up to lap his teammate, potentially. For a track as short as this, and of course the qualifying that we had, but was so incredibly close. It's quite incredible the gaps we've seen form throughout the field. Of course, we've had no safety car, which definitely contributes towards that. Nevertheless, it just shows the amount of incidents we've had, really, and not drivers hitting each other, but just hitting the walls. We've still got... Oh, we've got a yellow flag in sector 3. What's that about? It looks like it's gone now anyway. I was about to say, we've got C. Wilson over the back of Trev for this final points paying position. This is absolutely pivotal. for these two drivers. Trev, of course, yet to score in the F4 League in his 2 appearances. He'll be desperate to break that duck. But C. Wilson himself will want to score a point as well after what's been a pretty quiet race for the Renault driver, really, up to now. Just running a very cautious one-stopper from hards to mediums. Trev now been on his hard tyres for 16 laps, and they won't be feeling particularly great, I'd imagine, at this stage, and we know he has some damage. We're now on the penultimate lap of this F4 Canadian Grand Prix. And this final point scoring position is definitely the biggest battle out on track. We've got Spud, who I think is off again. Yes, he is, and he's going incredibly slowly. He's had more instant against the wall. It's been another rotten race for Spud. I think he'll almost be looking forward to seeing the back of his season, the way it's gone for him. And look at these two, absolutely battling like it's their last race ever for the final point. You know how much this would mean to Trev to get his first point on the board. It's been a decent enough race for him, but obviously when you're on these hard tyres at the end of a race, they are not going to feel particularly fast. Mike now does the fastest lap of the race, and oh, Wilson gets a penalty. We'll see how critical that is come the end of a race, but here he goes. He's got a better exit here, and there's nothing Trev can do, and Wilson gets 10th, and the best hope for Trev now is he potentially gets to run down the back straight. We'll cut to the leader once we're sure that Trev isn't fighting back. It doesn't look like he is, actually, to be completely honest, so we'll now give Maggot some much deserved airtime as Malham gets well out of the way. Coming down the back straight for the final time, Maggot has driven a beautifully controlled race here tonight, and with that he will close right up behind Malc in the championship. I believe the gap will be down to just 1 point between the pair of them. Maggot crosses the final corner to win the IRL F4 Canadian Grand Prix. Great job from Maggot, well deserved. Brennons crosses the finishing line to take a well-earned P2 as well. And Tinman should take the final spot on the podium. He very nearly beat Brennons, but just lost a little bit too much time at the end. Malc had a really instant-filled race, not the race he would have hoped for, but it's still some solid points for the championship. He takes P4. Will he lose P4? Actually, he's got quite a few penalties here, so if Richards managed to avoid penalties, he could grab 4th, and he does. Yes, so Malc doesn't even get 4th place. Richard does, and I believe with that, Maggot takes the championship lead by just a single point, so well done to Maggot there. It's a massive moment in the championship race for him, and Malc's difficult race really doesn't come to a fitting conclusion. Patsman grabs 8th just behind Nitrogash. We've got O'Steven round the final corner. He will take P9, and I think C. Wilson should take 10th, but it will come down to penalties between a pair of them. C. Wilson has dropped a bit of time, but I think he held on to it. We'll find out in just a second. Yes, he did. So Trev, unfortunately for him, for the 3rd race, does miss out on points. He only gets 11th, and that'll be gutting for him, I'm sure. But based on that performance, there's definitely points just around the corner if he keeps working for it, I'm sure. There's a podium for you there. 3 drivers there who definitely earned their spots on it today. While chaos was going on around them, those 3 kept it the most consistent and just drove really solid races, all 3 of them, Maggot especially. In terms of my driver of the day, it's a tough one. I'm going to give it to Maggot though. I thought he did an absolutely stellar job out front. Controlled the race at the start and just never really looked under any sort of pressure. Brennons and Tinman both did great jobs themselves, absolutely cannot be discounted. But Maggot drove an absolutely flawless race from start to finish and deserved the victory that he got. Look at some of the pit stops down there. We've got Ginger Tiger who made 4 stops throughout the race. Just outlining some of the problems these drivers had tonight. But yeah, Maggot's my driver of the day. I'm now going to try and get all 3 of them into the party for some interviews post-race. So just bear with me 1 minute and we should be able to get those drivers in. Hope you guys all enjoyed the race, and hopefully we'll get some feedback from the 3 drivers on the podium. So all the drivers invited then for the post-race interviews. Hope to hear from some of them following that enthralling Canadian Grand Prix, quite dramatic at times, and I'm sure the top 3 will be quite happy with how their races went. We'll hear from them shortly, hopefully. So that's the first driver in the party chat. Just wait a minute for the others.
Can you hear me, mate?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just make sure that your voice is set to share so everyone else can hear you as well.
Yeah.
I'll give it a minute for Maggot and Tin Man as well. Yeah, quite a lot of incidents here tonight. Of course, if you have enjoyed the stream, feel free to give it a like. It really does help the channel. And yeah, we're just waiting as we've got Tin Man here as well. Now, from what I remember, I don't think I've actually ever spoke to Maggot, so I'm not sure if he either A has a mic or B if he actually joins the party after the races. So we'll just crack on nevertheless. We'll start then with Brennons, who took P2 here tonight. Looks a pretty smooth race from your side of things. Is that how it panned out?
Yeah, I thought it was really smooth. I'm surprised I didn't get much practice in this week, so I wasn't expecting anything, and I was surprised how well quali was going. And then in the race, I just thought I'd just happy with my position and just get on with racing, and that I just couldn't believe I stayed in my position. And yeah, no incidents really. Just half the race was busy with Malc, and then second half it was just quiet because Maggot had just got away from me, and I was just watching Tin Man behind.
Were you aware of some of Malc's issues in the race? Looks like he had damage on a few occasions.
Yeah, I saw he's losing traction a lot in front of me, so I just sat behind him watching that for a bit, and then I saw him lose a bit of wing. So I think that's when I managed to get an overtake done. And then I think it was I've lost track now. I think the second pit stop, I think I knew he needed a wing again. I think so. Yeah, I knew he was having a few issues, but and he let me past at one point. But I was surprised because he wasn't that slow, but he just let me past. A bit weird.
And of course, this is your second consecutive second place finish after you got a great second place at Monaco. Before that, obviously you got a fourth at Abu Dhabi as well, but before that you were almost struggling, I would have said. What do you put down to your turnaround in form?
I don't know. Two didn't start. I think maybe I'm just getting used to this game. I haven't had much time to get a lot of practice on this game, so maybe as time's going on, I'm getting more comfortable with this car.
And how crucial was it at the end, obviously, to keep that gap over Tin Man with the fact that obviously you had one less penalty than yourself?
Yeah, I was just trying not to get any more penalties. I didn't want to play around the settings and try and find out how many penalties Tin Man had. So I just kept my eyes on the road and just hoped for the best.
Obviously, maybe I don't know what you think in terms of a championship. Obviously, maybe a little bit too late for that now. But what are your aims going forward for the rest of the season?
Just push up closer to the top end of the table would be brilliant.
And just lastly then, looking ahead, next week we're racing at Spa. How do you rate your chances in that one?
I really don't like Spa. I don't know what it is. I don't think I've ever had a great result there. Yeah, I don't expect it. I think my results will drop back down in Spa.
Well, hopefully for your case not, and again, congratulations on second place tonight.
Thanks, Jake.
And on to Tin Man, who took third place tonight. Again, from your race, from your angle, looked pretty smooth, but you drove, I'd say, a very solid race. How did you see it from your side?
Quite a quiet race. Didn't really see anyone really on the track. Just settled in behind, living at the start, and just tried to not crash and not get any penalties really.
And in terms of finishing third tonight, was that the best you could have hoped for, or were you maybe hoping for a little more?
I did know that Brennan's had a 3-second time penalty, and I was trying very hard to stay in that 3-second gap, but I didn't manage it, so yeah.
And this, of course, is now your 4th podium of the season. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, very happy, yeah, it's great. For my first, season in competitive racing, it's good.
And obviously, in terms of Malc and Maggot being the top 2 in championship, but you're not that too far behind them. Is the championship at all in your thinking?
I'm not really planning for that. I'll be happy with anywhere really in the top 5 for the championship, but I'm not aiming for anything great.
And I guess same thing to you as well. Were you surprised that Malc had as many issues as he did?
Yeah, I was really surprised that he did actually. I was expecting to have to fight if I wanted to get into the third, but just came through, which was quite good.
And lastly, again, same to you, looking ahead to Spa, how do you think things will go for you there?
Spa's a very technical track, not one that I'm especially good in either, but I'll aim for a top 10 finish, just getting the points, you know.
Of course, and yeah, congratulations on your 4th podium of the season, and continue on at this rate. I'll probably be talking to you again soon.
Yep, hope so.
Alright, so it doesn't look like Maggot will be joining us, but again, congratulations to him on the victory, and also to our other podium finishers. That pretty much brings an end to the stream for tonight. And yeah, thank you as always to the ones who joined me after the race. We'll see you once again at 8 PM British time next Wednesday for the Belgian Grand Prix. And yeah, we will catch you on the flip side. Take care, everybody.